Welcome to the September 20th Board of Selectmen meeting for Upton. We'll open the meeting at 7 p.m. First on the agenda, we will do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I gotta hang on to this tree.
First on the agenda is we have an introduction. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Board members as well as people with the town of Upton would like to introduce Jessica Gomez. She started last week as our new treasure collector. Wanted to provide an opportunity for her to attend the meeting, and the camera is there, so it's not capturing over there.
Yeah.
Thought at least would provide that introduction. Jessica has really dived right in, started to learn not only the people here in town, but also the office and getting to know people and procedures. So it's great to have you on board. I don't know if you want to say one or two short little things.
Sure. I'm happy to be here. I had a small 4-year break into the private sector. Prior to that, I was the treasure collector in Grafton. I worked in Grafton for just over 12 years. I started as a clerk and was the assistant and then was the treasure collector. So a little bit of getting back up to speed with what's happened over the 4 years. You know, there's a little COVID and some other things going on, while I was out of touch a little bit, but it's funny, I talked to Kenny in June and some of the things that we talk about. Right, yeah, I did that. It all comes back to you pretty quick. So it's like riding a bike. So just kind of get in touch with the way things are done here, the way the departments interact. It's a little bit, every town's a little bit different. And I already see places that I think we can improve upon. But first, I want to learn how we do it and why before I make any changes and just get everything caught up. And I'll just be consultants have been working diligently to make sure that I'm not starting behind. So I'm currently creating September because they're going to do July and August this year plus last year. So I started my cash flow for September already. June once things are caught up a little better. I just need to know what she's discovered over her time here instead of taking that same time learning curve when I can just pick her brain. A little bit quicker. I'll just be a little bit faster just with the things that she's already discovered. But I'm happy to be here. I live in Whitesville. I've been local my whole life. Although building and moving to Douglas in the next 6 to 7 years. And I hope this is my forever home. To retire here, say 10, but it will be 15 years.
Love it. Well, welcome. We're really thrilled to have you. It sounds like you've got a lot of great experience, a local background, which we just love. So good luck with your move to Douglas.
I'm 8 more minutes on the
Yeah, see that? That's the difference maker. I was going to say there might be a little traffic when you come by Valley Tech. There's some sneak throughs there you can come through. Yeah.
Valley Tech or 495 from my neck of the woods.
Oh boy, yeah.
The couple of routes I've taken, it's been like
you can come through what?
Maybe
Uxbridge down 16.
Yeah, I think one of those would just be easy, just come 16 direct or something.
Come all the way through, and then you can sneak through where the CVS is, Moon Hill Road. Come through my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could try Glen Ave coming down, just take a left on Glen Ave, and then bring you right over to 140.
And you'll get around the schools. Yep.
A couple I found through like Rockdale and coming up that way is it seems longer, but at least you're moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You pull up, you can't even see the stop sign.
Yeah. Gotta love small town board meetings. This is where you come to get the main streets and back roads. We cover the important things here.
All sorts of good student from that.
Love it.
A few weeks ago, we did have a full room here, so I guess this was a good week for your introduction.
Yeah.
Just one visitor. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Those at home, but
Right. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
And if you have any questions or anything for me, I'm sure I got a couple of months to get my feet wet and then we'll be full into budget for next year, so.
if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Or no, Joe's here to help too. I love it. We need you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have the approval of the Mass Office of Disability grant application submission.
So staff is still working to pull this together. This is something that Jess Nowicki and I are working on, along with Chief Bradley, Chief Marchand, and also Dennis to really address some of the ADA issues that are with the main access points, egress points, where the public is coming in and out of buildings. I don't unfortunately have the application in front of me right now. We're still compiling the numbers and all those things, but wanted to get the board's support for submitting that. These projects are all coming out of the transition, the ADA transition plan that the town completed a couple of years ago. So we're just updating the numbers, making sure that they're sort of reflective of market value today, so we can apply to take care of that. Looking for some, because we still have to figure out what we want to do with the Racine building. There's some access issues associated with the use of the first floor. Really just trying to get that together so at least the first floor is accessible, not knowing what our long-term plan is, but if we can get it funded through the MOD grant, then at least it gives us more options as we, even if it's on a temporary basis, want to be able to utilize that once the community center opens up.
Great. Okay. Any questions?
On that MOD grant, good evening. The MOD grant, you say pulling it together, obviously, with the grant. Is there a dollar value that's associated with that? Are we
right now we're looking at, it's coming in at about 150K.
Okay.
The amount of improvements that are needed for the police actually is replacing the whole door and the frame around the door, which is then a significant cost. Here at Town Hall, they identified really some optimizations that were just a couple grand. And then you do have some issues with DPW. That ramp to the temporary trailer is not ADA compliant. So that's another cost item that really sort of raises that up a bit. Total sort of guidance that the state puts out for grants is 250K. That they're sort of looking to make sure that things fall under that. So, this will be just one of those things, I think, on an annual basis, evaluating how we can make sure that we make our buildings fully accessible. There are many programs that we can take advantage, and this is just one of those.
Awesome. Very good. Great.
Sounds good. I have nothing else.
Any other questions, Maureen?
No,
Good.
well said.
Okay. Would someone care to make a motion?
I can do that. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the submission of an application to the Massachusetts Office on Disability, MOD, grant application submission for access egress ADA improvements at town-owned buildings.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. Next on the agenda, Joe, for the town manager's report.
As you all know, right after Labor Day, we had the state primary. Town clerk's office is preparing for the general election. General election will be on November 8th at high school. Early voting actually starts on Saturday, October 22nd. It will run for 2 weeks through Friday, November 4th. All of that will be here at Town Hall. So we'll be at least reminding people, getting it out on social media to come to Town Hall for that. This coming Saturday is Heritage Day. We have a number of departments that are going to have presence there. Library is holding their book sale, and DPW is actually helping them put out some of the handicap accessible mats that are down at the beach for the summer. Make sure that on the lawn area we have accessible room for the areas where they're selling books. Fire department is holding an open house, and they're also starting their fire prevention outreach program, where they work with COA staff, help with seniors, and also make sure that they get that information out to the public. I'll be there on Saturday and we'll have a table and just have general town information. And again, that's from 10 to 2. The recreation department last Friday just held a movie night and is in the process of planning a bunch of fall activities, including fall hikes and Halloween decorating events. So keep an eye out to the recreation social media as well as department page for more information. On October 1st, the Board of Health has scheduled a vaccine clinic. This is to distribute the new Pfizer vaccine, and this is the updated one to deal with the new COVID variant. So it's an online registration, just went out on our mailing lists on the front page and also on social media. So we ask that people use that website in order to sign up and get their queue in the line. As was mentioned with the introduction of Jessica Gomez as the new treasurer collector, we also had Amy Benina start as the department supervisor. Basically, it's administrative position that supports the land use and inspectional services department. So both those staff people are diving in, lots of help from IT and other staff to bring them up to speed and let them know about the processes we have in town. Like to just thank all of this staff that have really welcomed them with open arms and also just led their hand as far as support for them as they've joined the town. Recruiting continues to be a large focus of our office right now. We're finalizing hiring for the assistant town clerk position. We're also hiring for council on aging and a second land use inspectional services department specialist position. Those are out on the website and on MMA right now. And we're hoping we can fill these positions over the next month and a half, because we roll right into our licensing season as Sandy, starts with the various renewals and getting in touch with businesses and coordinating our not only inspectional services, but also our fire department does inspections as well. So that takes a lot of coordination on our side. Last meeting, or it may have been the meeting before, the board approved the submission of application for exercise equipment through the fire department for Maya. We did receive that grant, so we'll finish up purchasing that equipment. Everyone may have noticed, and maybe we should have had that discussion about back roads to get around town, because DPW started milling and paving around town.
Yeah.
Mechanic Street, Glenview Street, Fisk Mill Road, South Street. Work started yesterday and will continue through October 3rd. That's of course weather dependent. The board, I had sent along some emails to the board. Our office has received a number of sign requests for speed and traffic controls on School Street. The police department was also, not only were they contacted directly, but also I forwarded those along. The police department, and working with DPW, they installed the electronic speed sign on School Street, as well as new 30-mile-per-hour signs in front of 46 School Street. And DPW has ordered a reduced speed zone sign to at least provide that warning closer to High Street and Hopkinton. Police is going to continue to do traffic enforcement in this area, especially with everyone now back to school coming, commuting. It was multiple requests from residents on School Street and some of the side streets to try to step up enforcement and to try to provide that out. So thanks to police and DPW for really taking that and bringing together more signage. Lastly, would like to announce that Janice Nowicki has announced her intention to retire from the town of Upton as our Director of Elder and Social Services. Janice has been with us for 8 years, and I'd like to thank her not only for her service, but her dedication to residents of the town as well as seniors. Her last day is going to be November 3rd, so she is staying on for another 2 months, and she'll be a real value in trying to help as we fill not only the department specialist position due to retirement of Bernadette, but then also as we hire for the director position, allowing for a better understanding as far as not only what we are doing, but then also the work that needs to go into preparing for the community center. So I'd like to thank her for all the work that she's done. She will be missed, and glad to have her assistance as we look for the future and look for a new director. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And very important to recognize all of the work, dedication, commitment that Janice Nowicki has brought to the town over the years. I've seen her in many critical situations, whether it's tornadoes and house fires and storms and cold weather, and really stepping up and in to help out and coordinate with Red Cross and help people in need, sort of that need immediate assistance. Through COVID, she managed and led the Upton Neighbor to Neighbor program and distributing funds through that. She hosts and coordinates and leads all of the events that take place at the senior center, and all sorts of dinners and gatherings, and really helping out folks in the neighborhood and in the community. So, she's also played a critical role in the development of the plan for the new community center and Council on Aging site there. So she's put in lots of hours and extra hours and a lot of off hours helping people. So we're very, very grateful to her for all of her service.
And Joseph had mentioned Heritage Day. That's another staple where I would always see Janice.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes.
the word that immediately comes to my mind is enthusiastic. She would be there, and no matter what we would be talking about or whomever she'd be talking to, she would be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So she'll be missed, as you mentioned.
She's always very enthusiastic. I've never seen her down at all. Always with a smile.
Yeah.
Yes.
She'll be missed.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
thank her for all the hard work that she's done.
Great. All right. Next on the agenda, we have the opportunity for any public input on any topics. I'll open the floor to folks on the phone or in the room. All right. With that, Dave, we'll come on up and we can talk about the RFP for Town Center.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Joe. You want to set this up a little bit, or?
Sure. So at our last meeting, we had a lengthy conversation as far as the RFP, but a lot of it centered around the value of the Thompson building. And I did coordinate a meeting with Mr. Thompson and his attorney for tomorrow morning. One of the things I asked was to be able to talk about just flexibility, so could understand things a little bit better and look for maybe introducing some language that would be a little bit more flexible within the RFP. Since right now, basically establishing a concrete sale price for the property. So wanted to get a little bit better understanding. And when we came out of the last meeting, I think there was general support for the RFP, but there wasn't specific action as far as, yeah, let's publish this, and wanted to try to, get input from Mr. Thompson on the price, but also we had a couple different philosophies as far as how we could approach it. One would be either, removing it or including it in. I think one of the things that was also said was, this is a long-term investment for the town. Right now, the church, GAR property, as well as the parking lot, realistically aren't providing any revenue to the town. There's no property tax we're collecting on those big town parcels. And part of what the EDC has done is try to package things together to bring everything back on the tax rolls. I think one way or the other, whether we publish with the 650 or we hold it out and identify that here's the asking price, but it may be negotiable, I think there's value to publishing it, because that's how we get feedback. Sometimes that feedback may be what we need to go back to EDC and Mr. Thompson to sort of say, here's what we're getting from feedback and reevaluate. Having very few or no respondents, I've had RFPs go that way, and you learn from it. I think we've learned from the last time, which part of it was also timing, just when things happened, right at COVID. But any additional information, can only help us refine things, have conversations in case, say, we don't get a successful response, or maybe something that the town doesn't really feel like, things that we can do better. So looking for some guidance from the board so they can finalize things with Paul to advertise, or we hold it off for one more meeting, allow for input so that at least we can take that into consideration and vote shut down.
When Summer doing a good job describing it, it's do we include the transferable PNS or not? And part of the reason we wanted to put the transferable PNS in there is it's not a figure, known input for anybody responding to it, but it allows really no room for negotiation. No room it may potentially scare people away if they're too high. So if you take it out, it now provides potentially a level of uncertainty. So folks may be like, well, it works if I can get it for 300, but it doesn't work if it costs 7. Right? So, but it may get more people involved and more people engaged higher in the funnel, which is ultimately what we want. We want this funnel as wide as we can get it. Right? So I think that's part of the discussion we want here tonight, is the direction on not excluding any pieces of property or whatnot, but if the board doesn't feel comfortable or thinks that that number is going to be a barrier, do we remove that and put in language that just says the current asking price?
I mean, I would, obviously we'll open it up to questions. Do you and Paul and Joe have, sort of a sense of what you'd recommend at this point? I mean, obviously we'll have questions, but what makes the most sense based on what you all know about the program, the process, the goals, what we're trying to do, the market?
So part of the reason we, in the past, liked the idea of the transferable PNS is it requires Mr. Thompson, he's entering into an agreement to sell the property at this price that's locked in. And nobody can come in and buy that one person, right? So if we don't have that in there, developer or prospector A could go right to Mr. Thompson and acquire that building. And that kind of really puts them in the driver's seat for getting the whole thing done, even though their proposal may not be the most advantageous to us as a town. However, based on the conversations we've had with Mr. Thompson and his willingness to work with the town, and it seems like, this is my interpretation, it's not his words, but he realizes what long-term this means for the town. I don't believe he would go out and execute in that transaction in the 60-day window. So I think some of that risk is removed. Whereas we want to be cognizant of that developer A buys it, really developers B through Z are kind of time.
Okay.
But I feel like that risk is going to, now that's not to say if somebody offers him $1 million, it's not going to do it, but
Luck to him.
but it seems like he wants to work with the town. I think he understands what it means potentially for his family's legacy to do the right thing.
Okay. Questions?
Is there a minimum bid, Dave?
So this is a request for proposals that we will look at in terms of not only what they plan to build, but what financially they plan to offer the town. So somebody may come in and say, I'm going to build this beautiful structure, but I can't pay the town. Somebody else may come in and say, well, if I have to offer the town $500,000 for these parcels, it means I have to do X, Y, and Z. So it's going to be putting all those pieces together. we as the EDC plan to bring forward what we think is the best long-term offering for the town, which, as Joe talked about, is bringing these properties back on potential. And that may mean in the short term that there's a lower investment, being made by the developer to the town. So they may, if they give us something that's going to generate 70,000 a year in taxes, I'm willing to take less upfront. We don't have any minimum bids on it because we already did. What we heard the last time around was it's a very tight project size in terms of it being a problem. And again, it's one of those, this building is 650 and then we require 655. I can't make it work. So we'd rather see them come in, and remember, this is a request for proposals. If none of them work for the EDC board, you don't have to accept them. You can always go back and you can negotiate. And what the EDC plans to do is bring forward, we feel is the most qualified respondent, at which point it'll be up to the board of selectmen to negotiate the actual. So we'll be like, they're hitting all the points of the vision and they're bringing in what we think is the right financial picture for the town. Board, the town manager will negotiate the specifics.
Well, I think what you talked about pulling that grant purchase and sale. I'd say I'd have to go with that. Pull it out of the RFP and let the developer do the negotiating, maybe depending on what we find out tomorrow.
Yeah, on a couple of things. One, I think at least with the RFP, and we talked about this after our last meeting, that while the RFP does say that the EDC would bring forth the top priority, it may be beneficial to have some language that says that the board may invite a second place proposal to view as well, because you could have two vastly different, and it may be beneficial to interview both. When we were selling a property in Littleton, we had the same thing where we had a review committee that would present the top, but then had options for the board to invite actually the top three in. Because we were figuring we were getting 10. We had like 50 people sign up to receive the bid package. We got 2 responses. So it's like, well, at that point, we ranked and presented it first, but it's like, you might as well have this. So we never know what we have, but giving the board flexibility is beneficial. One of the things with the transferable P&S is that it does, one of the benefit is that it basically ties that there's a shared interest in not only the town, but also the property owners to sort of look at this as a whole project. And, over the last week, I think over sort of back and forth on exactly that, pull it out and sort of say, well, this is the area that you have to talk separately here, or do you present it and sort of use that feedback to come in, even if there was something that if it really is just the dollar amount, that may be something that then when I talk tomorrow can really provide a little bit more information. And even if it was, to include if there's up to the 650, in the end, the board, as David said, doesn't need to approve. So if we don't get any responses, that's feedback we can provide to Mr. Thompson, that, look, the numbers, the feedback we're getting is the numbers don't work and this is why. That can be useful because then you already have people that took a look, maybe think that things work, but it comes down to the numbers. And that's a piece of information that may be beneficial. The hard part is if we pull it out and we say, we're looking for this, then we're sort of not in control anymore on that one aspect.
Yeah. I like that.
And I like being able to concentrate the message
Yeah.
from the town. This is what we're looking for. We have no idea what promises and other
Okay.
side arrangements can happen.
Yeah.
So if we don't, we find out why, we
Yeah.
go back and we revise. And, we don't have to keep it out there. If we know
Okay.
it's a little bit more focused and that,
Yeah.
if it was south of 500,
Yeah.
it would work. We can go out and republish and have a 25-day window, 30-day window rather than the 40.
You have questions?
Yeah, a couple of things I was going to mention. All three of you have made good points. I mean, certainly in favor of getting the RFP out there, right? We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's out there. We don't know what ideas have changed. We believe it's a red hot market as far as real estate, but of course interest rates are going up and all those good things. So I agree with that part. And David, as you presented to us, there's a lot of subjectivity in how you rank the proposals. So I like Joe's idea and the fact that certainly rank them. I don't suspect that we're going to have 5 proposals, but the reality is, let's just say 2. You may say, far and away, this is our number 1 choice. We've got it scored, 95 on this one and a 62 on that one. But if the focus may be, let's just say the board is looking for more of a composition of commercial, and the particular proposal may look better, but it's maybe more residential space or flex space, we may be having different objectives. So I think that makes sense. And I myself personally, I was comfortable with it last time. Not that I'm any sort of a real estate developer or expert on pricing, but my job kind of dictates that I need to have a good idea what things are worth. And at 650, I'm really not in favor of putting forward as Maureen said, I'd be in favor of pulling that out. I wouldn't be in favor of signing a transferable P&S. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but I think for me, it will perhaps give us, at the same time, pulling everything together, it also will give us a little bit better idea as where do we currently sit with the value of the parcels that we do own. Are those parcels worth, as you said, are they worth 600,000 in this market by themselves or 650 or whatever that number is? As I said at last meeting, I can certainly understand how there's going to be a great discrepancy with the Thompson property because again, it's providing revenue. It's an income earning property for family now, whereas whomever we ask to submit an RFP, ultimately, they're going to, basically demolish the building. So I can certainly understand where there's that great differentiation in value. I think that's what my gut tells me. I think as long as the price is in there, I think that gives those 4 or 5 potential developers and hopefully at least 2 step forward. But I think that at least gives them an idea of, what it's going to take to acquire the property. And maybe what negotiating power, an individual developer would have in a situation like this, but that would basically be my gut feeling. And then as far as my question, you asked a question, I think you had mentioned that you really wanted to get this going so that you'd have an opportunity to have a meeting or 2 in advance of Thanksgiving. So, as September, we're burning through September quite quickly. I looked at the calendar today.
It's gone. Exactly.
I believe it's the 20th already, so I wouldn't want to slow you gentlemen down later. I'm sure there's ladies on the committee as well. I wouldn't want to slow down the committee's work, so, I want to definitely move forward. I think that's where I'm sitting right.
I think Joe's point of having a 1 and 1A respondent is valid. We could easily do that. So I do like that idea. Yeah, I would be fine speaking for the committee to and put in that the current price of property is X so that there is some level of definitiveness to.
Right. I mean, you could even put on there like some notation of, this is the asking price. I don't even know if we would go there, right? But it's like, this isn't the town's, right? There's been no market analysis. This is the asking price, right? exactly. So they know it's like it's passing along a number and you can deal with it as you see fit. So. Okay. Does that make sense? You on board? Good.
I think so, yes.
Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes, you have what you need?
I think so. So
Good. I totally agree.
So meeting goes well tomorrow with Mr. Thompson. We'll probably shoot for next week to start.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Yeah, if you could just forward something to the board, let us know when we're
You can
actually
talk,
going
it's
to be
okay.
on the central register, I think is where it's typically go up.
Okay.
That'd be great, just so we can, again, time's moving so quickly, it'd be nice to just be aware of when those start and ending dates actually are.
Yeah, perfect. Joe pointed out, Linda, you've raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Hi, yeah.
Hi.
Hi, I have a question. When the town voted, did they vote on, here's the profile of what we're gonna do? And not knowing that the Thompson property was not owned by the town and was subject to this sort of getting in the middle of this whole thing and creating quite a little problem? I thought
Well,
they,
we don't actually have a problem. We're kind of right where we thought we were. We're exactly where we want to be. So we really don't have a problem. The only thing that's changed really ultimately is the asking price on behalf of, we're going to call it our partner, or the other resident in town. That's really the only thing that's changed.
right, except for that, the person who's going to be looking at, developing something there based on the, the vision is looking at, the whole project. There may be completely contiguous aspects to that are, link all the buildings together somehow. So it's kind of, I understand that, Mr. Thompson has said he wants to work with the town, but him wanting to work with the town doesn't really have anything to do with a developer's ability to pay, some unknown amount. Can you not?
Linda,
Yeah.
there isn't anything here that wasn't on the table when this was brought to town meeting, and also there's nothing here that's unexpected. It's all sort of in the normal course of doing a project like this. If you have questions and are interested in more detail or background, certainly we can provide that offline.
Okay. So then the only other question or comment would be, getting an actual, first right of refusal from Mr. Thompson, so that in the event that someone else does come forward, that the town has an opportunity to, as, representing the potential builder, to say, hey, we thought we were at 400, now we're at 600, but the town still controls that conversation.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else on that?
Do we have any value, as to Steve's point, on the town-owned land?
I mean, I don't know. We haven't had them assessed recently. I think that is, I don't know. I haven't seen anything other than what we paid for them and when we paid it, but
What we paid for it,
point, right? Like,
church was years ago. Bought that.
Yeah.
I think it was 400,000.
The church? No, the church was about 180.
I think
we
it
sold
was-
it for 180. We bought it back.
so we can take this stuff offline. We don't have the answers, so we shouldn't speculate. We don't have a current market assessed value for any of the properties, period. So if we want to get those, then we certainly can go ahead and get them.
Okay.
I think ultimately, yeah, 100%. And I think once they're off the tax rolls, right, there's no assessments that are done.
Right.
So
No,
they
I
ultimately-
mean like a market assessment, right? Bringing in a realtor or a company and saying, hey, what's the value of these properties? Evaluation, right?
Sure, but even for our own records, we don't have anything that's current.
No, right?
No.
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 But then again, this will be part of the value of the RFP. This is what we're hoping to learn.
Yeah.
And it's only as valuable as somebody's willing to pay you for it.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think the value of the individual parts may be less than the value of the whole, right? So you might have three things worth $5 each, but when you put them together, they're worth $30. So that's the other thing that we'd have to consider. So,
Yeah.
Right.
okay, great. Anything else on the RFP?
I think you wanted to make
Oh,
a
did you have a question or comment?
Yes, not why I'm here, and I know I'm not appropriately dressed, but as the only real estate developer who has recently purchased a property with the expectation of development in the Upton downtown business district, I wanted to, and I know I've said this informally many times, I want to say formally while I'm here, again, albeit maybe not appropriately dressed, that's another conversation. I am happy to be a resource for the town for my personal business and development. I have asked a lot for the town, and the town has been very gracious and accommodating. And I feel like I too can return that favor as being a resource for the town and trying to attract additional development, because there's not only a mutual interest there, there's also an ethical and moral responsibility to the community to which I've become a part of. So I would suggest to the Economic Development Committee and the Board of Selectmen to absolutely reach out to me and use me as a resource for attracting additional development. If I had the resources to buy all of the Thompson properties, if I had the one Thompson property that I have purchased, I'd be stroking a check tomorrow, because I believe in the vision of the Upton downtown business district that you've spent years developing, and I'm thrilled to be a small part of it, and I want to find somebody else to be a part of it as well. So I just want to officially say to the Economic Development Committee and the Board of Selectmen, which I've said off informally many times, use me as a resource. I am an ally. I am happy to help in any way I can in terms of finding the best interests of the town. Because my best, I mean, I would tell you that I'm a hero, that I'm just a philanthropist and altruist. My best interests are to see this town succeed, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to see those goals achieved.
Great. Thank you very much. Great.
Call me.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. You guys did all the work. Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Hopefully we're back with good news in December.
Love it.
Hope so.
Great.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody on the EDC. Obviously, there's a huge amount of work in all of this. And Paul, obviously to you for all your help and guidance throughout all of this. So thanks.
Thank you very much.
Great.
A lot of work.
Great.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. Thanks.
Next up, we have some resignations. A notice of vacancy on the Board of Health.
Correct. So in the board's packet is an email from Diane Kiernan letting the board know that Richard Desjardins has recently resigned, submitted his letter of resignation to the town clerk, and therefore having a vacancy is requesting that the board advertise for filling that vacancy and scheduling a meeting for remaining members of the Board of Health for Selectmen. Hopefully, so we've tentatively scheduled that for October 4th, and it's been advertised not only on the town website, but also on social media.
Okay. Any questions?
I have none.
None for me.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I can do that. I move that the Board of Selectmen and the remaining members of the Board of Health schedule a meeting for October 4th, 2022 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, to interview and consider appointment to fill a vacancy on the Board of Health for a term expiring May 2023.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. Next, we have an appointment to the Historical Commission. We have an application from Patrick Rosendale for consideration.
I apologize. That was a
Sorry.
copy and paste error on my part.
I know, I'm going to read
the
error on
application
my
from
part.
Edward Phillips.
Ed Phillips, yep. Got it. Okay. His application was provided in our packet. Is he here? Do either of you have any questions or concerns with proceeding?
I don't. I just bumped into Ed, actually. He was filling in at Town Hall about a month ago. Ed did a great job on the Cemetery Commission. The work at Maplewood Cemetery So again, I think he's a great addition. I encouraged him to stay involved in government, so I'm happy he put his name forward.
Thrilled.
I'll resonate what Steve says.
Yeah.
The guy.
Yeah, that's great that he's willing to continue to be involved. So
Yes.
it's much appreciated. So
Great.
I'll invite a motion.
Yeah. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Edward Phillips as a full member on the Historical Commission for a one-year term to expire June 30th, 2023.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries by unanimous action. Next up, we have a one-day liquor license application from our friends at Rushford and Sons. Would you come on up and
We're going up.
Come on up
let
to the hot seat.
let us know? Exactly.
Just watch out for the wire.
You could be on
Watch out for
TV.
wires.
Looking this good, it's a shame you can't be.
This
You don't have to
must
explain your wardrobe.
Yes.
All week, this is celebration of Oktoberfest.
Excellent. I love it. I love it.
Can't wait, it's gonna be busy. Upton Heritage Day is gonna be very busy at the brewery, I'll say that.
Yeah.
We have our live four-piece jazz band that's gonna be playing Oktoberfest standards. We have our proudly brewed in Upton, Massachusetts, handmade German beer steins, just came in maybe about 2 hours ago.
Nice.
We got a couple seasonal beers that just came out, very pumped about it. It's gonna be a great community event, very excited. Not what I'm here to talk about, but we'll talk about it, take the opportunity.
That's it.
Self-promotion.
Good
right?
commercial. We always have time for a commercial break.
Yeah.
There are people listening, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not just us. There's like 6 or 7 people.
Everybody, people out there.
That's right.
You've done everything but introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do
I
that
think
first.
you guys, I know everybody in the room, I think you know who we are right now, but for those who don't know, we are Mike Rushford and Ryan Goodman of Rushford and Sons Brewhouse here in town, here to talk about a one-day liquor license for October 22nd for the United Parishes Chili Cook-Off, to which we've been invited and are thrilled to be a part of.
Fantastic.
So I think Jeff looks good. I believe Jeff emailed me that he, from the church, who said he's online.
Just look over your shoulder.
Okay.
Oh, no, Joe, said you, oh, hey, hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Jeff.
So,
Oh, hi, everybody.
Yeah,
Hi.
thanks, Jeff. Jeff and Brian from the church invited us to be a part of their annual chili cook-off a few months ago. And we mentioned, of course, we'd be thrilled to be a part.
Great.
We mentioned that we would not only need to get the one-day liquor license, but to our conversations about our remote core events in town that we've had.
Great.
A lot of
It looks like on the application, the fire and police chief have signed off. Jeff, is there anything you would add?
You know, we just appreciate the brewery to their help in helping us make this a wider community event and possibly bring in some more funds as a fundraiser for the church. As a lot of you probably know, that we had a turkey supper for close to 100 years at the United Parish, and COVID, that kind of fell by the wayside during COVID, and we were trying to think of a way to, a fundraiser event that would be fun and maybe a little easier than the turkey supper. It was a ton of work. And yeah, that's it. Just a community event that we can open the doors and have some fun and have people meet us and then it be a fundraiser and yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Nice to meet you on Zoom here.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Any questions?
The only thing on the motion, it's not, I really don't have any questions other than the timing of it. And that's going to be 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., Jeff, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we won this a daytime event, family event. We'll get the orange fencing around the greens per. I guess that's what that's a town code or whatever. So.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
I'll invite a motion.
I can do that. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the application submitted by Rushford and Sons owner-operator Brian Goodman for a special one-day wine and malt only pouring license for an event to be held on October 22nd, 2022 from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 14, to be held at United Parish located at 1 Church Street, Upton, Mass.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, as always.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Things I would figure while we're here, it came to my attention maybe about an hour and a half ago that there is a charity running event on October 1st, starting and ending at the VFW. Informally, the running club, the Tri-Valley Front Runners, have informally reached out to us today, asking us if we can accommodate them on a Saturday morning, which we can't at the brewery. But I figured while we're here, I suppose formally ask if I submitted a one-day liquor license, if we could serve them at the VFW. And I know it's last second, it literally came to my attention again, like hours ago.
Just have to submit the application and we can talk about it.
Okay, but it's for October 1st. I know it's really short notice, so I figured I would bring that up now. Again, it's not like we haven't had one-day liquor license there. If it was a new thing, I wouldn't even mention it.
Yeah. Hold up just 1 second.
Yeah.
Because our next scheduled meeting would be the 4th, the only way to entertain an application would be to schedule a quick 5-minute Teams meeting. And we can identify what, would work for all of your schedules. Pull something together as long as we comply with notice requirements.
It's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I know it will be kind of above and beyond ask because this is really last second, but I really appreciate you guys even entertaining it, and I will get that application officially submitted tomorrow.
And Sean Craig is here. And Sean Craig is here to advocate. Sean Craig is here to advocate for our non-agenda item liquor license approval. You gotta love local board meetings. Okay, guys, thank you. See ya. Next.
Everyone, have a great night.
Good luck with the chili cook-off.
See you later. Love the hat. Got to bring a little light to these meetings. I love it, and I'm a big fan. I am a big fan. We need
See how
children,
much you've loosened up in.
right? Right? Exactly. It's like, this is great.
We need a camera. We need a camera on that side to get.
A long way. Well, I know.
I know.
Yeah. Between that
They
and,
missed out.
between that and Jessica, I'm like, we need to get we used to have a camera that went both ways. I think when it was here and
That,
there's like
yeah.
these ones would
Well,
sort
it's
of.
up there too, right?
Then, where there were cameras where you
They're okay.
Or work.
right, there was definitely something where you could like see the people sitting and see the board.
Maybe it was that one because the desk was there, the
Yeah.
Right.
guest would be here.
It's here, yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. That's
Yeah.
why.
Okay, awesome, good. Well, we got that covered. Next up, we have Sean Craig to talk about the VFW Run to Remember 5K road race. Mr. Craig, welcome.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me. So we are, the VFW is looking at hosting its 13th annual Run to Remember 5K and walk. This is a USA Track and Field certified course. I believe you have a map of the course itself with you or in your packet. The race itself has been held each year to honor all active, reserve, as well as Guard members and all veterans who previously served the country. And we actively encourage participants to wear the name of a veteran on an additional bib that they can wear either on the front or back of their shirt to honor a veteran. If they do not have a veteran in their family or friend or no one, we actually stand to as well with a name of veterans that they can place one on their bib to run for. This year, the race will be held on October 1st in the morning. I have spoken with both the chief, fire department, as well as police, any concerns that they may have. I will say we initially were looking to make a change in the course this year, have it recertified, but in speaking with the police chief, he preferred the original course a little bit better. Next year, however, with his insight, we may look at trying to start the race actually on 140, and so that it could end in the front of our building as opposed to having to go around the back of our building. Sometimes there's a little confusion at the end of the race for people. We got to make sure they finish all the way around the back. But this year, this is the course we've been running for several years now, and again, that's coming up on October 1st. Any questions you may have?
Any questions?
I do not. It's about the
I
same
do
as,
not.
I think, last year or the year before.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Looks good. Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the road race application for the Upton VFW Run to Remember 5K road race to be held on Saturday, October 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you very much, Sean. Good to see you.
Sean?
Thank you, appreciate it. And Mr. Simons, I've seen you at past races, so I hope to see your registration soon.
All right, put it in there. Thank
Rain
you.
or shine.
We always have time for commercial break.
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck
You
with the
bet.
event, Sean.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Review of draft special town meeting warrant. I'll turn that over to you. We've got it here in our packet.
So in the board's packet is a draft warrant, including description submitted by boards and or departments for consideration. Wanted to at least have this for not only people to take a look at, but also for the board. 13 articles. There are some funny articles. Some of these were discussions that were previously held prior to annual town meeting, but actions such as a police vehicle as well as a fire vehicle, my understanding was that those would be put on for fall town meeting. So that's why they're here. We do have some articles such as using CPC funds. That public hearing will be coming up in a couple of weeks. So, depending on how that public hearing goes, that may either continue or may fall off. There's also a article for funding a stretcher. The new ambulance has already been lettered. It's going to be coming into service soon. But to make sure that we have all the same equipment, they're looking at outfitting a new stretcher. They did apply for emergency. The emergency department did submit a grant application to fund that stretcher, the stretcher system. However, we won't hear until the beginning of October whether or not we're successful. So this is sort of like the belt and suspenders. We're just trying to make sure that if we aren't successful, that we're able to get that stretcher. And then, another thing that we're working on is back at annual town meeting, there was money town meeting approved for design work for Grove Street. The DPW director is requesting an article to be placed on for construction. We're going to have more information on all these articles at the next meeting. So he'll be here just to talk about, the process where we are as far as not only design, but then also the request for construction, whether or not we're utilizing the grant funds, and just how this sort of comes about. Another article is on discontinuing a portion of Warren Street because we do have that grant that's doing the plan, the parklet plan, but also we're going to be reconfiguring the parking lot right outside. And because of the layout of the road and property lines, realistically, we want to have it discontinued in this section anyway. So to allow for that parking plan to action. So we're going to have a meeting on the 4th. I'm lining up the finance committee as well as capital budget to also attend. The bridge is the only thing that would hit the trigger for capital budget committee to attend. Because we're only dealing with about 6 funding articles and talking to chair of finance committee, thought that it made sense for everyone to join in on the meeting, and we can have the presentations from departments as well as discussion and recommendations on it.
Great. And we'll do that here on the 4th.
Yes.
Great. Questions at this point?
Statement more so than question, I
Please,
suppose.
anything you want.
All right.
Where's yours?
The only thing I would mention is, we had talked about this, and you had mentioned it at our previous meeting, the draft article regarding the appointment of the principal assessor onto the board, which is a proposed article. I don't.
Number 10.
Okay, number 10. So I've had some time to kind of digest that, kind of think it through and get a better feel of what I thought about that particular article. And I'm just thinking at this particular point, it's too early for me to endorse that. I don't like it, only because we've just recently lost 2 assessors. Obviously, one passed away, James Earl, and one resigned.
Yeah.
So we just recently have 2 openings, and I just hate to take that authority away from people. You know, the Board of Assessors was only 3 members.
Yeah.
So now we're going to take a 3-person board, drop it down to 2. And, you know, the way it's written, we're going to take a full-time employee and plug them into that 3rd seat. So I think at this particular timing-wise, I'm not ready for that article. If we don't have any success filling those seats and nobody draws papers for the election come, you know, February, March, April, if those things don't happen, you know, you have my full support on that particular draft. But I'm not ready for that in November.
Yeah.
I may be ready for it in May, but not.
Yeah. And I think you know this, and I think I know it and understand it too, but I just want to confirm. It would still be a 3-member board, but for all intents and purposes, because one of them would be appointed, there would be 2 members that would be selected by the public and one that would be appointed versus right now, all 3 of them are.
And is the principal assessor from Upton?
Yes. Yes. And my understanding would be that being an Upton resident could be appointed by fill in the vacancy, so that we don't have a 3. We don't have, say, a 2-member board of assessors going forward. So there are some options there. And I know when Kelly, before she left, that there was discussion as far as that possibility that the bylaws were written in such a way that if a staff assessor was a resident, they could sit as a board member. They would have to get elected, but there wasn't anything that included that.
As long as they lived in town, they could be on the board. So we could essentially not accomplish the same thing. It would be different, but the same result, which would be 2 elected positions, well, 3 elected positions. It's just that because the new assessor would live in town, they can be one of the 3. So it's the same person, which is really what this is trying to
I think
sort
we
of
actually,
solve. But
I think we'll actually end up with the exact same board.
what we're exactly.
We'll end up exactly the same without making the bylaw change.
Right,
The only reason I'm thinking that is if something changes.
Right.
You know, we've had so much turnover, but let's just say a principal assessor stays, you know, 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And moves away or retires or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
We don't want to have a situation then where we've lost that as an elected seat.
Right. And I also,
I'm sorry, she could be the appointed seat.
yeah. No, I think I tend to agree, and I think we said this last time too, or at least I intended to voice it, right? Like, I'm always very reluctant to convert any elected seat to an appointed seat without sort of a very clear and timely need, because it doesn't, and that it's the right thing in the long run, right? Like, I don't want to ever take away an elected seat or position because of something we're trying to solve in the short run, right? It needs to be the right thing to do for the long run. And this may very well be the right thing, but to your point, if we're going to end up in the same place because the principal assessors in Upton anyway, then it's sort of, you know, the problem has solved itself for now. And if we need to address it later, we can address it later.
Right. And the only way it could change is if hypothetically we had a 3-person board and one of them wasn't the principal assessor.
Yeah.
So now so you still have that flexibility as well. And,
Yeah.
we want more people to get involved in government. And it's funny because, right, typically we don't have a lot of situations where we have 6 or 8 people fighting for one seat, or, we just recently had 2 people fighting, for one appointment. But you want to give people a pathway into government and hopefully keep them involved and, keep them engaged. So
Yeah.
that would be just one. I'm hesitant on that. That would be my only comment for today.
I agree with you.
That's dangerous.
Let's just write this
Let me
down.
think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Good. I don't know if I should change my. I feel like should I change my
Process.
Yeah, exactly. This feels uncomfortable.
I think he made a very good point.
I agree. I think our
I
colleague,
agree.
as always, makes good points, and in this case, not only has he made a good point, but I agree with it.
See that? I
Even
got
when
that
disagree-
hand now.
Even when I disagree, they're good points. All right,
Sometimes it takes me a little while to get my point across, right?
I love it.
That's all right.
We're there.
Curveball.
We're there. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about while we're here? Might as well.
Questions. So you had mentioned questions. Maureen, did you have any questions?
Not yet.
And I know we're going to come back to this.
October 4th, I
Yeah.
might have.
Yeah.
We're going to get another swipe at this, but at least if there's anything on the top of your
And then
head.
If there's anything that, if you have questions before the 4th, I'd love to find out what they are so that if I can
Have answers.
Then be prepared to respond.
Yeah.
Or in setting agenda item should only be 5 minutes. So,
Yeah.
but,
There you go. See,
They,
So work
I
right.
like it. That's it.
Just 2 other quick comments. And Joe, I think you mentioned that we were going to look into the discontinuing of the road if the property would revert back. Will we have that information by the 4th as far as, is the timing right?
Now, realistically, that's going to take a little bit more time. Town council is working on it. That'll be one of those things that will be up until town meeting. It's going through, looking through historical records, deeds, and those things. So there is the chance that the motion could say only this portion, and then we'll worry about the other portion. There could be some flexibility that we have to build into that ultimate motion, or it gets pulled and we put it on for annual town meeting. But with the work that Dennis wants to have for redoing parking lot reconfiguring, he'd like to actually see this portion. So that's why, and if anything, it's just going to be the adjacent to the town owned parcel, 1 Main Street, and right on the opposite side of the street, and that may be.
I think the only other question, just glancing through it, was the definition of the footbridge. As we talk about the Grove Street Bridge, I keep seeing made mention of with the construction of the footbridge. So it almost sounds like it's a separate bridge. So I just want to make sure I understand what that's going to look like. I'm assuming it should be just part of the road and just a,
part of the bridge.
part of the bridge,
Yeah.
kind of like a sidewalk,
Right.
maybe obviously safety railings and whatnot.
Right.
I think it's at least, in this, we know that we can ask the DPW director to be a little more specific about this. My understanding is that unlike say when you do a normal bridge, a granite curb, and then you have a sidewalk right adjacent there, that there is some form of separation, that there is guardrail and other railing to make it truly a designated path, but it's going to be part of the same structure rather than a separate bridge with separate footing and all that. So it's going to be a little bit wider, but it's not going to be, like the sidewalk right next to the street. So, but that's stuff that the contract with the design engineer has not been signed yet. He's reviewing that contract, and they'll have more information on that.
And I know. Sorry. Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and it made me sort of pause to reflect on it for a moment too, which is whatever we put there, if we have the opportunity to make it somehow beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. I know it's not like, it's not the Brooklyn Bridge, it's not a long bridge, but you know, and when we start thinking about railings and granite and a separate pedestrian walkway that's connected but divided, like whatever that is, like if there's any creative way to make it more aesthetically pleasing or interesting or sort of fit with the downtown as opposed to just like the concrete sides and, you know, like that would be, this is the chance to do it because you build these things once every 75 years. So if you have the opportunity, it's in such a high profile spot. It's not like, you know, the Fowler Street Bridge where it's like, okay, yeah, just replace it. That looks beautiful, by the way, but it's not really, you know, crafted with any sort of aesthetic intended.
Right.
So-
Most residents don't see it, where, as you mentioned, this would be something where if there's 7,000 or 8,000 cars that go through that intersection, especially with the MassDOT program that will be coming through,
Right.
like you said, that's a good time to address that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You with me on that, Joe?
Yep.
All right. Love it. Anything else on here? No?
thanks for now.
Love it. Board meeting schedule for the remainder of 2022. It's going to require a count. What's on our schedulers' minds?
So basically just trying to stay with the first and third Thursday. The
Yep.
one issue that really when we're looking at trying to schedule associated with.
Bless you, Laura.
Thank you, sorry.
Special town meeting and then the town election. We do within that first full week need to schedule a meeting for tax classification hearing and talking previously with Tracy. We had sort of settled on Monday, November 7th. Because Tuesday is the general election, I'd like to stay away from meeting that day. As long as we don't have hearings, it's fine, but, you know, realistically, it's frowned upon to have meetings on election days.
Sorry, question, why can't it be the first? You might have said
Town
that.
meeting.
Is the first.
I mean, it's November 1st.
Got it, okay.
So then,
So, and for that, you know, if we just had administrative things, that would be one thing, but we would need to schedule a tax classification hearing. So I need to get notice and do all those things. So I just wouldn't want to do that
Right, just before the annual town or the special town meeting.
I'm sorry, what?
You wouldn't want to do it on the first before the town meeting.
No.
so what was the day that you were hypothetically thinking that would fit?
November 7th, so that would be technically the first Monday. And then meeting on the 22nd, then reverting to the first and third Tuesday for December.
Yep.
And then shifting again in January because the first Tuesday of January is January 3rd. Monday is observed as a holiday here at Town Hall because first will be on Sunday. And not knowing what people may have for plans. It's always a tight window to try to prepare hearings and meetings for when you're right around New Year's. So
you're thinking the 10th and the 24th would be make the most sense for January?
Yep.
Yeah, and then that fits nicely because the 24th to the 7th of February is 2 weeks. So it's sort of, we're self-correct for February with an every other week cadence. So, yeah. Okay.
So really November is just going to be, so you're thinking November 7th and the 22nd? 2 dates that you were.
That's what it looks like to me,
Obviously
yeah.
the first.
And the first is town.
First is town meeting, and then the 6th and the 20th of December, and then the 10th and whatever it was, the 10th and the 24th of June.
Yeah, as we go along, if we have to do special meetings, that's one thing, but it helps when we're scheduling all the
At least we
licenses.
can look ahead.
public hearings, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I can update my calendar so the family knows.
Assuming we remember when we leave.
100%, yeah,
First, so.
bingo.
Well,
I didn't write it down.
Right.
Family members don't.
Victor keeps asking me to come. He's like, I want to come play basketball. I'm like, oh, okay, but you're 6 and last meeting went till 11. So, but anyway. Okay, great. Do we want to look at the minutes for July 12th and August 16th?
July 12th, I only sent out this afternoon, because I forgot to do it earlier. And the 12th and the 16th are not prepared yet.
Okay, so we should try our best to just have this agenda updated so that when we're here, we know what we're not. I know you don't want to do the agenda. Okay. All right. So I assume I haven't looked at the ones for the 12th yet. So
I haven't, I checked it about 5 o'clock and I hadn't gotten it.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
So
All right.
Just so it's 12th, 16th. We'll have the 6th, right?
Yeah. So
September
12th.
6th.
December 6th. Are you looking at meeting dates? Oh, you're looking at minutes.
Minutes.
Sorry.
September 6th, right?
Yeah. So August 16th, July 12th, September 6th for the next meeting. Yeah. Hopefully, yes. Fair enough. What, are you busy? That was definite for anybody that isn't here. That was definite sarcasm. Sandy is very, very busy. We've been hiring about 1,000 people. Exactly. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people who can't see my facial expression.
Complete on the 16th. Haven't even.
No chance. Love it. All right.
You were talking to friends of yours that have sat in on hundreds of interviews, right?
Yeah.
And another one to your.
Another one to the list. Exactly. That's right. See? That's it. That's why she's in charge of HR. Love it. All right. We're in good hands. Anything else?
That's it.
Anticipated adjournment, 8:18. We're supposed to adjourn at 8:25, so we got 7 minutes to do nothing.
Okay.
Just take a deep breath, everybody. Nice work. Nice work. Awesome. Wonderful. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks.